The tombstone is cold, and the rain is like needles. Lin Wanqing was floating above her tomb, looking at the man she had loved for 18 years and hated for half her life. Shen was holding a black umbrella, wearing a straight suit, and his face was still so handsome that her heart trembled, even though she was now a ray of soul. He stood in front of her grave, silent for a long time, and then slowly spoke. Marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. The rain was pattering, but his voice was not loud, but it was like a dull knife, cutting into her remaining soul inch by inch. If it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't have given up the opportunity to go abroad, and I wouldn't have stayed in the small town to waste 10 years. If it hadn't been for you, Qingqing wouldn't have died. His voice finally trembled when he mentioned their dead daughter. Lin Wanqing wanted to scream, to roar, to tell him that this was not the case. It was his mother who had forced him to stay, and it was him who chose to give up the offer. Qingqing, on the other hand, had congenital heart disease and was diagnosed too late. She ran to hospitals across the country with her daughter in her arms and spent all her savings. But she couldn't make any sound. Don't meet me again in your next life. Shun then took one last look at the photo on the tombstone, turned around and left, never looking back. Lin Wanqing felt that the last trace of his ties collapsed, and his consciousness completely sank into darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the dazzling incandescent lights, the unique smell of chalk dust in the classroom, and the hard wooden desks and chairs beneath me. Lin Wanqing looked around blankly. There is a red slogan posted above the blackboard. There are still 98 days until the college entrance examination. A portrait of Einstein hangs on the wall. Outside the window is a familiar playground. Several boys are playing basketball. One of them is leaping high to shoot the ball. Sunken shore. 17-year-old Shannon. Lin Wanqing looked down at her hands. They were fair and fair, with no joints roughened by years of doing housework. There was no shallow scar left by Shun and when he was drunk in the 3rd year after marriage. She touched her cheek tremblingly. The skin was tight, and the collagen was plump. On the math test paper spread out on the desk, the name column reads, Lin Wanqing, grade 3-7. Date, March 12th, 2006. She was reborn. Back to the age of 17, 3 days before I first met Shannon. Wanqing, what's wrong with you? Your face is so pale. Zhou Xiuyu, her desk mate, pushed her. Are you feeling uncomfortable during your menstrual period? Lin Wanqing turned his head and looked at his friend's young face, which was blurred in his memory, and tears welled up without warning. Hey, don't cry. Zhou Xiaoyu rummaged for tissues. The boy in the front seat glanced back, then turned back indifferently. That was Chunamo, who ranked first in his entire grade in his senior year of high school. Lin Wanqing suddenly remembered that many years later, his classmates would hear that he had never married. Some people said it was because the girl he had a crush on in high school married someone else. She wiped away her tears and took a deep breath. The air is filled with the smell of youth, sweat, and hope. She is still alive. Qingqing was not born yet, and those nightmares of carrying her daughter around to seek medical treatment and finally watching her stop breathing had not yet happened. Shen is not yet her husband. He is not yet the man who said nothing at his daughter's funeral and said, it was a mistake to marry you, in front of his wife's grave. In this life, everything is possible. I'm fine. Lin Wanqing heard her own voice, hoarse after choking, but extremely firm. I just had a nightmare. A nightmare for 18 years. In the previous life, Lin Wanqing and Shannon met for the first time on the afternoon of Wednesday, March 15th, 2006. That day, as a Chinese class representative, she went to the teacher's office to deliver her homework. When she was going down the stairs, she bumped into Shen, who was going upstairs. The homework books in her arms were scattered on the floor. Shen helped her pick it up, and the moment their fingers touched, Lin Wanqing looked up and saw the young man's smiling face in the sun, and her heart skipped a beat. It was a cliched but effective opening in a young adult novel. This time, Lin Wanqing left the classroom 10 minutes early and took a long way down the stairs on the other side of the teaching building, perfectly avoiding the moment that changed her life. But she still saw Shannon from a distance. 17-year-old Shannon, wearing a blue and white school uniform, walked arm in arm with several boys from the basketball team through the corridor. He had a bright smile and bright eyes. He was the most dazzling boy on campus. Lin Wanqing stood at the corner, with his back against the cold wall, listening to their footsteps and laughter gradually disappearing. My heart still hurts. It turns out that the person you loved when you were young, even if you are reborn, your heart will still be moved when you see each other again. But this time, her heartbeat was followed by a bone-chilling chill. She had seen the coldest expression on this face, heard him say the most hurtful words, and experienced his cold violence for several years. I wish him happiness when he meets his beloved. Lin Wanqing repeated the vows he made when he was reborn in a low voice. I also wish me a new life. The first difficulty after rebirth is to apply for the college entrance examination. In the last life, in order to be with Shen, Lin Wanqing gave up the Southern University he had always wanted to go to, and filled in an ordinary college in the province, the school Shen was admitted to because of his special basketball recruitment. This time, she did not hesitate to fill in the Chinese department of Fudan University in her first choice column. It was the school she dreamed of as a girl, but she gave up the dream easily after meeting Shannon. Wanqing, do you really want to retaliate against Fudan? Teacher Li, the head teacher, pushed up his glasses, a little worried. Although your recent mock tests have been good, the score line of Fudan. I can do it. Lin Wanqing's eyes were firm. I will try my best. She really tried her best. Rebirth brought her not only a profit, but also the perseverance tempered by life as an adult. She knew that she was more resilient than a real 17-year-old girl and could endure loneliness better. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day to memorize English, do a math problem in 10 minutes between classes, and review comprehensive essays in bed late at night with a small flashlight. She lost 8 pounds, and her eyes were always black and blue, but her eyes became brighter and brighter. Zhou Xiuyu felt sorry for her. Are you going to take the first prize? Lin Wanqing just laughed. Not only did she want to pass the exam, she also wanted to go far. Stay away from this small town with a sunken shore, and stay away from that marriage that is destined to be tragic. In mid-April, the school holds spring sports games. According to the trajectory of the previous life, Shannon would win the men's 3,000-meter event, and Lin Wanqing would hand him water as a class support staff member. When Shen took the water, sweat fell from his forehead. He smiled at her. Thank you, classmate. That was their second encounter. This time, Lin Wanqing signed up to participate in the women's 1,500 meters. She calculated the time and found that the women's race was ahead of the men's 3,000 meters. After running, she went back to the classroom early to review, citing physical discomfort. The plan was perfect until she stood on the starting line and saw Shen standing next to the track, warming up. He obviously also participated in some projects and prepared in advance. The two people's eyes met briefly in the air. Lin Wanqing quickly looked away, but his heartbeat accelerated uncontrollably. Get to your places, get ready. The starting gun fired. Lin Wanqing rushed out. The accumulated emotions since her rebirth seemed to have found an outlet. She ran faster and faster. The wind whistled in her ears, her lungs burned, and her legs felt like lead, but she was still accelerating. My vision gradually blurred, and the noise of the auditorium became distant. She just ran, running as hard as she could, as if she could escape the shadow of her past life and run towards a new future. When Lin Wanqing crossed the finish line, her legs softened and she fell forward. The expected pain never came. A pair of arms caught her firmly. The familiar scent that had hugged her countless times. Lin Wanqing raised his head suddenly and met Shen and stunned eyes. He obviously didn't expect that he would subconsciously rush over to catch the person. At this moment, the two of them were in an awkward posture, almost like a hug. Thank you, thank you. Lin Wanqing struggled to stand firm and took a step back to distance herself. Shen took back his hand and touched the back of his head. You ran very hard. Are you okay? It's okay. Lin Wanqing turned to leave. Wait. Shannon stopped her and handed over an unopened bottle of mineral water. Drink some water. Lin Wanqing stared at the bottle of water, remembering the same scene in his previous life. But at that time, she was the one who handed the water, and her heart was filled with joy. Now she is the one who received the water, and her heart was filled with desolation. No need. I have it myself. She took out her water glass from her bag and left the playground without looking back. Shannon stood there, frowning slightly as he watched the girl's stubbornly leaving figure. A buddy from the basketball team next to him came over and said, Hey, handsome Shen has also been rejected sometimes? What nonsense. Shannon unscrewed the bottle of water and took a sip himself, but his eyes couldn't help but follow the figure who disappeared behind the door of the teaching building. Strange, has he noticed this girl before? It seemed like the time she spoke under the national flag in her sophomore year of high school. Her voice was trembling with nervousness, but her back was straight. Later, when we met occasionally in the corridor, she always hurried past with her head lowered. Today on the track, she bit her lip and rushed forward like a little beast that refused to admit defeat. Shannon shook his head and threw the empty water bottle into the trash can. What are you thinking about? The most important thing now is the college entrance examination and the basketball special recruitment test. In early May, the city's joint entrance examination results were announced, and Lin Wanqing broke into the top 10 in grade. This is a good result that has never been achieved before. On the day the rankings were announced, she stood in front of the honor list for a long time and watched her name appear below Shen An's for the first time. He was 5th in grade. The distance between them used to be when she looked up to him, later when she chased him during marriage, and finally when they were separated by life and death, he turned his back to her. But now, the difference is only a few lines of names on the list. Awesome Lin Wanqing. Zhou Xiuyu patted her shoulder excitedly. With this momentum, Fudan University is stable. Lin Wanqing smiled, but his eyes fell on Shen An's name. She remembered that in her previous life, Shannon performed poorly in the college entrance examination and barely passed the first line. He relied on his basketball skills to enter the provincial sports academy. Without her interference in this life, would he have made different choices? She shook her head to get rid of these unnecessary thoughts. His future has nothing to do with her. In the last month before the college entrance examination, Lin Wanqing almost lived in the library. One Saturday afternoon, while she was immersed in writing questions, someone sat down in the seat opposite her. She didn't pay attention until she finished a set of English test papers and looked up, only to find Shen sitting across from her. Their eyes met, and both of them were stunned. The reading room of the library is very quiet. The sun cuts light and shadow on the floor through the blinds, and dust dances in the light beams. 17-year-old Shen was wearing a simple white t-shirt, and his hair was cut shorter than before, looking clean and fresh. He obviously didn't expect to meet her here. His expression was awkward for a moment. Then, he pointed to the exercise book spread out in front of him and mouthed, "Review." Lin Wanqing nodded and lowered his head again, but could no longer concentrate. She could feel Shun En's eyes occasionally falling on her. In his previous life, starting from the 3rd year after marriage, he rarely looked at her like this. At first it was impatience, then indifference, and finally turning a blind eye. "My heart aches." It turns out that the scar will not disappear due to rebirth. It will just be buried, and it will still drip with blood when touched. Lin Wanqing packed up his things and stood up. Shun stood up almost at the same time and lowered his voice. "Wanna leave?" Let's go together." Shannon said. His voice was particularly clear in the silent reading room, attracting the sideways glances of several students nearby. Lin Wanqing wanted to refuse, but Shun En had already put away his school bag neatly and followed her out of the reading room. In the evening of early June, the summer heat has not subsided. The two walked side by side on the avenue, speechless for a moment. "You," Shun spoke first. "Do you hate me?" Lin Wanqing paused. "Why do you ask?" "I feel like you're avoiding me." Shannon turned his head to look at her, and the setting sun gilded the side of his face. "At the sports meeting, and when we meet in the corridor every other time, you would avoid me." Lin Wanqing was silent. She didn't expect Shun En to be so sharp. At this time in his previous life, he didn't pay attention to her at all. "We don't know each other well, so we can't say we hate or like him." She heard her own calm voice. "But I want to get to know you." Shun En stopped and looked at her seriously. "Lin Wanqing, class 7, grade 3, Chinese class representative. You like to watch Zhang Ailing, hate math, and write very good essays. At the flag-raising ceremony last Monday, you spoke as an outstanding student representative. Did you write the manuscript yourself? I like the sentence, 'Youth is a flowing galaxy with brilliant fireflies, brilliant but short-lived.'" Lin Wanqing was stunned. She took the initiative to get that speech, and the manuscript was indeed written by herself. But she didn't expect Shun En would remember. "How did you?" "I've been paying attention to you for a long time." Shun En confessed, with a rare sincerity in a young man's frankness, since the crappy speech under the national flag in the 2nd year of high school. "You were obviously so nervous that your hands were shaking, but you managed to finish the whole process. Then I started to pay attention to you. You always sit by the window when you go to the library, and you go to the art room on Tuesdays and Thursdays to watch people painting. On rainy days, you don't bring an umbrella, and would rather get soaked in the rain than squeeze in with your classmates." "That's enough." Lin Wanqing interrupted him, her voice trembling a little. "Shannon, it's not suitable for us to get to know each other." "Why?" Shannon asked, standing in front of her. "How will you know if you don't try?" "Because I've tried it." Lin Wanqing answered in his heart. "I spent my whole life trying until my heart died, trying until I went to the grave to hear you say that you regretted marrying me." "No reason." She walked around him. "I'm going home." Shannon did not catch up, but a voice came from behind. "Lin Wanqing, the Shanghai Institute of Physical Education sent me a pre-admission notice." Lin Wanqing didn't stop, but her heart sank. In his previous life, Shannon failed to get pre-admission to the Shanghai Institute of Physical Education. Has the trajectory begun to change? Because she deliberately avoided it, but attracted the attention of young Shannon? The college entrance examination is coming as scheduled. When the bell rang for the end of the last exam, Lin Wanqing put down his pen and let out a long sigh of relief. She tried her best. No matter what the outcome was, she had fought hard for herself in this life. When we walked out of the examination room, there was a buzz of people outside the teaching building. The students cheered and threw the review materials into the air, and the pages flew like snow. Lin Wanqing passed through the crowd and saw Zhou Xiaoyu waiting at the school gate, and Shannon standing next to Zhou Xiaoyu. "Wanqing!" Zhou Xiaoyu waved to her excitedly and squeezed over to hug her. Liberated. Shannon stood a few steps away, looking at her and smiling. At that moment, time seemed to go back. Lin Wanqing remembered that on the day after the college entrance examination in his previous life, Shannon waited at the school gate like this, then walked over and held her hand for the first time. Lin Wanqing. Shannon came over with 2 cans of ice Coke in his hand and handed her one. "Celebrate?" There were students booing around me. Shen En is a famous figure in the school, and such actions will undoubtedly attract attention. Lin Wanqing did not take the Coke. "Thank you, I don't drink carbonated drinks." This is the truth. After Qingqing fell ill in her previous life, she gave up all unhealthy eating habits, and she continued to do so after her rebirth. Shun An's hands froze in midair, his eyes dimmed for a moment, but he soon smiled again. Then, "Let's have a dinner together?" The class organized it at the ULI hotel. "I have something going on at home." Lin Wanqing looked at Zhou Xiaoyu. "Xiaoyu, let's go." Zhou Xiaoyu looked at her and then at Shun En, hesitated, and left with Lin Wanqing. After walking far away, Zhou Xiaoyu asked in a low voice, "Wanqing, you really don't like Shun En? He seems to be very interested in you. In the past 6 months, I noticed that he ran into you in the corridor several times and watched you running on the playground. Last time you were reviewing in the library, he always went there." Lin Wanqing didn't answer. She couldn't say that it wasn't that she didn't like it, but that she liked it so much that she was scarred, and she liked it so much that she didn't dare to touch it again. The college entrance examination results were announced. Lin Wanqing was admitted to Fudan University with the 3rd best score in liberal arts in the city. On the day I received the notice, my mother cried, and my father was so happy that he invited the whole family to a restaurant. Lin Wanqing's eyes turned red when he looked at the bright red admission notice. In this life, she seized her future. In mid-August, high school classmates reunited. Lin Wanqing originally didn't want to go, but Zhou Xiuyu insisted. This is the last time. From now on, we will be far apart and it will be difficult to see each other again. There were more than 30 people sitting in the large box of ULI Hotel. Shen was also there, sitting among the boys, being toasted in turn. Sure enough, he was admitted to the Shanghai Institute of Physical Education. Lin Wanqing sat at the girls' table, eating quietly and occasionally responding to classmates' conversations. Halfway through the party, Shannon came over with a wine glass and sat down in the empty seat next to her. Congratulations, he said, his eyes a little hazy. Obviously, he had drank a lot. Fudan, you are really amazing. Congratulations to you too, Lin Wanqing responded politely. Shanghai is quite big. Shannon turned the wine glass in his hand. But if we want to meet, it shouldn't be difficult, right? Lin Wanqing looked at him and suddenly asked, Shen, what do you like about me? Shannon was stunned, as if he didn't expect her to be so direct. I don't know, he said honestly. I just always think about you, want to know what you're doing and want to see you smile. You are very cold to me, but I want to get closer. Is this considered liking? Calculate. Lin Wanqing answered in his heart. Isn't this the purest heartbeat of youth? No reason, no reason. But how could such a pure beginning become so miserable later on? Shannon, Lin Wanqing looked into his eyes seriously. We don't want to meet anymore. Not in Shanghai, not in the future. The smile on Shannon's face disappeared. Why? Give me a reason. Because Lin Wanqing paused for a long time and finally said, we are not suitable. You want to pursue a career in basketball, and I want to focus on my studies. Our worlds are different, and reluctantly intersecting will only drag each other down. Shen was silent. After a long while, he whispered, how do you know that we will drag each other down? Maybe we can achieve each other. I can't afford to bet. Lin Wanqing stood up. So let's do it. She left the table early, and when she walked out of the hotel, she heard footsteps chasing after her. She didn't look back, quickened her pace, and left almost at a trot. The streetlights are on, and the summer night wind is warm. Lin Wanqing ran, and tears finally fell. This time, it's really goodbye. College life unfolded as Lin Wanqing expected. She studies her favorite major, joins literary clubs, goes to the library, and volunteers at museums on weekends. When she was a sophomore, she met Chen Mo at a reading party. The Chen Mo who sat in front of her in high school, always immersed in his thoughts, now wears black-rimmed glasses and is still thin, but his eyes are calmer. Lin Wanqing. Chen Mo was obviously surprised. I didn't expect to meet you here. Are you studying at Fudan? Lin Wanqing remembered that Chen Mo had excellent grades, but in his previous life, he went to Tsinghua University. Well, computer department. Chen Mo pushed up his glasses. What about you? Chinese department. The two chatted for a while and found that they were both from Jiangcheng and had many topics in common. Although Chen Mo studies computer science, he reads widely and can discuss literature with her and analyze problems rationally. They gradually became familiar with each other. Lin Wanqing found that Chen Mo was very different from when he was in high school. He still didn't talk much, but he thought about every word he said. He remembered her preferences, would help her reserve a seat in the library in advance, and would silently buy her medicine when she had a cold. During Christmas of her junior year, Chen Mo asked her to go see a movie. After the show, the two of them were walking on the snowy streets. Chen Mo suddenly said, when I was in high school, I passed a note to you. It was tucked into your Chinese language book. Lin Wanqing was stunned and tried to remember. She had no recollection of this happening. You may not have seen it, or you may not have noticed it. Chen Mo smiled, a little self-deprecating. It says, that sentence in your essay is very good. The so-called growth is to learn to coexist peacefully with regrets. Lin Wanqing remembered. It was the first monthly exam in the second year of high school, and the topic of the essay was regret. She wrote a story about missing and letting go, in which she used the sentence. After the test paper was sent back, she found an anonymous note in the book with only this sentence. At that time, she thought it was someone's prank and threw it away. Did you write that? Yeah. Chen Mo nodded. I didn't dare to sign my name at that time. You were with Shannon. We are not together. Lin Wanqing said softly. Never. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later, that's all we know. Lin Wanqing was silent for a long time. Snowflakes fell on her eyelashes and melted into tiny droplets of water. Chen Mo, she finally said, I have a lot of hurts in my heart, which may never heal in my lifetime. This is unfair to you. I don't need fairness. Chen Mo's voice was particularly clear in the snowy night. It took me 3 years to dare to stand in front of you again. If you need time, I can wait. If you can never forget him, I can also just be friends. But please at least give me a chance to prove that not all love will turn into regrets. Lin Wanqing looked into his sincere eyes and remembered the rumor from her previous life. Chen Mo never married because the girl he had a crush on in high school married someone else. If that was true, she felt a pain in her heart. Give me some time, she said. In the spring of his senior year, Lin Wanqing went to the bookstore near the Shanghai Institute of Physical Education to buy information and, unexpectedly, met Shannon. He has changed a lot. He is taller and stronger. He is wearing sportswear and is accompanied by a petite girl. The girl held his arm and smiled sweetly. Shin also saw her, and his footsteps visibly stopped. When their eyes met, time seemed to stand still. Soft music flows in the bookstore, the sun shines in through the glass windows, and the dust in the air is clearly visible. In the end, Shunin walked over first, with the girl following behind him. "Long time no see," Shunin said, his voice calm. "Long time no see." Lin Wanqing smiled. "Your girlfriend? She's very beautiful." The girl blushed, but Shunin did not deny it. They briefly chatted about their current situation. Lin Wanqing was preparing for the postgraduate entrance examination, and Shunin joined the school basketball team and might take a professional path. The conversation was polite and distant, like the most ordinary old acquaintance. Before leaving, Shunin suddenly said, "Lin Wanqing, you are right." Lin Wanqing looked at him. "We are indeed not suitable for each other." Shunin smiled, with some relief in his smile. "I am too selfish and you are too strong. If we are really together, we will probably really drag each other down." Lin Wanqing's throat tightened, and she couldn't speak. However, Shunin looked at her with complicated eyes. "I still want to know, if I had insisted on pursuing you back then, would the outcome have been different?" Lin Wanqing shook his head gently. "No ifs. You're fine now, and that's enough." Shunin nodded. "Yes, that's enough. Take care. Take care of yourself." Shunin turned around and left the bookstore with his girlfriend. Lin Wanqing stood there, watching his back disappear at the corner of the street, and suddenly burst into tears. Not sad, not regretful, but a complete sense of relief. In this life, they can finally move on in their respective lives. After graduating from graduate school, Lin Wanqing stayed at the school to teach. When she was 28, she married Chen Mo. The wedding was very simple, only close relatives and friends were invited. Zhou Xiuyu was the bridesmaid and cried harder than the bride. "You must be happy. Both of you must be happy." When exchanging rings, Chen Mo's hands were shaking. This man, who is known for his calmness in the Silicon Valley venture capital circle, is as nervous as a 17-year-old boy at this moment. "Wanqing," he whispered in her ear, "in this life, I will try my best to make you not regret choosing me." Lin Wanqing remembered Shen En's words in front of her grave in her previous life. "Marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life." She held Chen Mo's hand tightly and said with a smile, "I never regret it." In the second year after marriage, Lin Wanqing became pregnant. The joy of pregnancy was shattered during the first major ovulation checkup. The doctor looked solemn. There is something wrong with the fetal heart and further examination is needed. At that moment, Lin Wanqing felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. The nightmare from the previous life came back again. That small body, the weak breathing, finally gradually became cold in her arms. "Lei Qing? Lei Qing." Chen Mo held her cold hand. The doctor said that it is just a suspicion and needs more detailed examination. And now that medicine is advanced, many congenital heart diseases can be cured. Further examination confirmed that the fetus did have a heart problem, but the situation was more optimistic than Lin Wanqing's memory of Qingqing's previous life. It was a ventricular septal defect, which could be cured through surgery after birth. "We will accompany her." Chen Mo held Lin Wanqing's hand tightly. "We will get through this difficulty together." On the day the child was born, Lin Wanqing cried uncontrollably in the delivery room. Not pain, but fear. Fear of history repeating itself. Fear of losing again. But when the nurse put the wrinkled little guy on her chest and the child cried loudly, Lin Wanqing suddenly felt that this life was different. She has Chen Mo, better medical conditions, and the willingness to know in advance and be prepared. The daughter was named Chen Shi, which means morning sunshine. Xiao Shi underwent surgery when she was 3 months old. Lin Wanqing and Chen Mo held each other tightly outside the operating room. 5 hours later, the doctor came out and said with a smile, "The operation was successful." At that moment, Lin Wanqing leaned on Chen Mo's shoulder and cried like a child. This time, it was tears of joy. Xiao Shi recovered very well. At the age of 3, she was no different from a normal child. She was lively and laughed, and she loved telling stories with her father. Lin Wanqing often looked at her daughter's sleeping face and thanked God for giving her a chance to start over. In 2019, the 15th anniversary gathering of high school classmates, Lin Wanqing and Chen Mo attended together, and Xiao Shi was entrusted to her grandmother to take care of her. At the party, she met many old classmates, including Zhou Xiuyu, who was already the owner of an early education institution and was smart and capable, but when she saw Lin Wanqing, she still rushed over to hug her like she did in high school. Shunin also came. He looked much more mature, wearing a casual suit and without a female companion. I heard from a classmate that he has been single since he broke up with his college girlfriend, and now runs a sports training institution in Shanghai and is doing very well. The two nodded in greeting from a distance without talking. Halfway through the party, Lin Wanqing went to the terrace to get some air and found Shunin there, looking at his phone. Hearing the footsteps, Shunin raised his head, was stunned for a moment, and then put away his phone. "Come out and take a breath?" "Yeah." Lin Wanqing walked to the railing, and the night wind blew her long hair. Silence spread between the two. In the distance are the bright lights of the city, and nearby are the singing and laughter coming from the box. "How is your daughter?" Shunin suddenly asked. Lin Wanqing was surprised. "How do you know?" "Zhou Xiuyu said it." Shunin smiled. "She said your daughter is very cute and looks a lot like you." Lin Wanqing nodded. She is fine. The operation was successful. She is now a healthy child. That's good. Shen and looked into the distance, his face a little blurry in the night. Actually, I often had a dream for a while. Lin Wanqing's heart skipped a beat. In the dream, I married you. Shen En's voice was very soft, as if he was talking to himself. We lived very unhappy, tormenting each other, and finally, you left. I always wake up in my dreams, and then I can't sleep all night. He turned to look at her with deep eyes. It's weird, isn't it? We haven't even been together, but I would have such a dream. Lin Wanqing took a deep breath and let the night breeze cool her hot cheeks. Dreams are all reverses. You see, we are all doing well now. Yes, everything is fine. Shen En smiled, feeling truly relieved this time. Chen Emo, how are you treating me? Lin Wanqing thought of Chen Emo thinking of his clumsy concern, silent companionship, holding her hand tightly outside the operating room, and the back view of him getting up late at night to feed his daughter. He is very good to me, she said softly. He doesn't talk much, but he always does more than he says. He will remember all my preferences and support all my decisions. On the day my daughter had surgery, he kept holding my hand outside the operating room and said, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Shen En listened quietly, then nodded. It sounds like he is more suitable for you than me. Shen En, Lin Wanqing looked at him seriously. You will also meet the person who suits you, but that person is not me. Shen En looked at her for a long time and finally raised the water glass in his hand and made a clinking motion. Respect the right person. Respect the right person. Lin Wanqing smiled. On the way home, Chen Emo drove, and Lin Wanqing sat in the passenger seat and looked at the light outside the window. Are you happy tonight? Chen Emo asked. Yeah. Lin Wanqing held his hand. I'm very happy. The car stopped at the red light. Chen Emo turned to look at her. I saw it. You and Shen and were talking on the terrace. Lin Wanqing's heart tightened. Don't be nervous. Chen Emo smiled. I just want to tell you that I never ask about your past because I believe that your present and future belong to me. Lin Wanqing's eyes were hot. Chen Emo. But if you want to say something, I'm willing to listen at any time. The green light came on, and Shen Emo restarted the car. I want to know all your stories, happy and sad, because they are all a part of you. Lin Wanqing looked at her husband's serious profile and suddenly understood that true love is not a burned-out firework, but a long-lasting companionship. It is not a tormenting entanglement, but a mutual guardianship. Go home, she said. It's time for Xiao Shi to miss us. Okay, go home. The car merged into the night traffic and headed towards their warm future. And Lin Wanqing knew that the heartbeat of that summer when she was 17, the wrong marriage that never started but had played out in her memory for a lifetime, and the man who expressed regret at her grave, had finally truly and forever stayed in her previous life. In this life, she avoided the wrong start and met the right person. The person who says, don't be afraid, I'm here, outside the operating room. The one who made her believe that love doesn't have to be grand and grand. As long as it flows slowly and protects each other, it's good enough. That's enough. Yes.